Okay, everybody, Zen Aldrich here. I want to welcome you out to our presentation tonight. Let's go ahead and get things started. Hope everybody had a fantastic week, and we're expecting this week to be just as good or better. Okay, guys, so what I had prepared for you for this week is we're going to cover some of the details of the homework that Steve has assigned in the last 5 weeks. And then we're going to cover a couple other things at the end of this. So I wanted to recap this with you. First of all, what we want you to do is the research and development for week 1. What was asked of you was to mark up the trading week on the dollar Swiss from the 12th to the 16th of March. And Steve asked you to make up 40 flashcards. 5 M's, 5 W's on 4 of the majors. So I wanted to, for those that are probably a little bit behind, you know that we're using this week to go ahead and get caught up on the homework, make sure we're up to speed before Steve goes on to the next step for us. So I wanted to give you some visual examples of some of the flashcards that I had made for myself as well to give you an idea, those that haven't been able to get to it. Okay, so this pair here, this is the Aussie dollar. Now most of you know that I specifically trade the U.S. session, so I'm not looking for setups in the London. I'm looking for specific setups that are in the U.S. session. So if you'll take a look at this particular setup here, you can see that it formed a beautiful first leg of the M right here in the shadow box. It came back up and retested the high, gave me a nice M. The entry is right here, and we take it right back to the water. And if you need a little more than that, you can see this one took off for about 145 pips. Now, I also want you to pay particular attention to this shark fin high right here. Beautiful M. Now this is one particular pattern in the Aussie dollar for the U.S. session that plays out over and over again. So what we want you to do is have a picture of this so that when it starts painting, you're able to realize what it's doing and prepare yourself for entry. Here's another example. This one is spread out just a little bit further over time, but you can see Asian box right here. It's less than 50 pips. Came up, made the high of the day right here, and then back over here near our entry for the U.S. session, the shadow box. It gave us a beautiful railroad track. The entry's right here. You know, Steve got in here. I got in right after him right here. So our entry is going to be here. First target is the watermark, 50 EMA. Second target's right down here at the Manny's. Beautiful setup. And we see this is just a large M spread out over a few hours here. We see this over and over in this pair, the Aussie. Now we're going to show you a couple looks from the bottom side, a couple of the W's. This is a really, really good setup here. You can see that here in the London, it pinned down here, then came back up, messed around the mustard catsup, came back and retested 1, 2, basically 5 candles here. This is the first leg, and then came back down here, second leg, our entry. And you can see these guys just punished these guys with these wicks. You know, this was a hand reaching down into the baggie and pulling a bunch of money, and then taking off. So the entry on this particular setup here is right here, and our first target again was right here at the watermark. This is something that happened 2 weeks ago. Again, the Aussie dollar. Let me give you another look. Now, one of the keys that I've noticed and that Steve teaches is when the boxes are totally blown out in the Asian session, and this is a perfect example of the boxes being blown. We like to see about 50 pips. If it's a yen cross, AJ, EJ, GJ, up to 75 pips. But when it totally blows out the box here, it's going to more than likely reverse in the U.S. session. So this came all the way down here, gave us a bunch of pins to the bottom side inside the shadow. So there was a couple opportunities to get in here, but if you missed it, he gave you another opportunity way over here. And again, these are flashcards that you're going to want to make, that you have like in a book, so that you can view them periodically, maybe every day before you start trading, or even, like Steve says, take them and hold them up next to the chart that's being painted right now and see if it's duplicating itself. They do it time and time again. Let's take a look at the euro. You could see right up here, late London gave us the high today right here, came back down. And again, this is a beautiful setup in the shadow box for the U.S. session. It hit the high again, give us a nice spinning top or evening star. Entry is right here. First target is right down here. Second target right here at the male. Nice M formation again. Guys, these are the cards that Steve wants us to make. These patterns play out over and over. We just have to become efficient at identifying them in real time so that we can take advantage of it. Okay, we got another setup here. This one came up. Here's a trade that we see over and over and over again. Pins to the blueberry. Look at all these pins right here. Right here. This is our first leg. Came back right in the shadow box again. Gave us a great second opportunity or second leg to get in. Our target will be right here. First target is at the watermark. Second target down here is at the mayonnaise. Decide you want to hang on a little bit longer. Take a look here too. We got a nice shark fin here outside the volatility band. Great opportunity for us to enter. These are the trades that we're looking for. And to give us an example of a W in the euro, again, you'll notice that some of these are nice, tight M's and W's. Others take 2 or 3 hours to form to get that second leg. Either way, we'll take them. Either way, we'll take them. They're both solid setups. You're going to see here that it bottomed out here, rose for a little while, came back down right in the shadow box, gave us another opportunity, basically retested the same level. Some pins. Very small, almost a railroad track here, but we know it's second leg, retested it, right, and took off. Now, in a case like this, where the EMAs are nice and tight, we're looking for somewhere between 35 and 50 pips. Now, if we'd have known that this was going to run for 116, maybe we would have taken a little bit more, but generally speaking, in the U.S. session, we're looking for 35 to 50 pips. Okay. Here's another opportunity. Great setup out of the London. Nice, tight Asian box, 35 pips. Comes up, forms here. But really for me, this is, again, another W. We're looking for entries for the U.S. session. That's what I trade all the time. So you can see right here, here was the first leg, came down, threw some spikes really hard, pulled away from the guys. Consolidated for a while, came back up, did the same thing. Our entry again is in the shadow box right here. First target's at the water, second target's right up here at the mayonnaise. Okay, so let's discuss week 2. Week 2, Steve asked us to mark up 4 weekly cycle charts using either the 4-hour chart or the hourly, one for each major pair. You can use any date range that you wish. Please post it in the forum student section. You also needed to complete your flashcards as he described them in the class. We just covered that, 5 short, 5 long. And then also start to identify your go-to or your signature trade, something that you spotted and you take. That's easy for you to see. Okay, so here's an example. This was actually done on the hourly. And this is a prime example. This played out over a week, but this also plays out every day. So you can see here the beginning of the week, right? This is Sunday session here, so we're going into Monday. False move at the beginning of the week. It's going to rise up, drops back down, gives us a nice W come Monday. We're inducing short positions right here. Rises up. There's a level. Rises up. Once we get, so this is Monday here. This would be Tuesday. Going into Wednesday, you can see it's risen another level, and they're trapping people to the long. Beautiful M is formed. Guess what? They're taking it away from them. So Thursday starts the reversal. Really gave us an opportunity Wednesday to get in. Second chance on Thursday in the Asian, and then takes off. Drops one level here, second level here, and then third level right here. Perfect example. So the homework again was to mark up the weekly chart, mark up four weekly cycle charts using the 4-hour or the hourly. Okay, let's discuss what our opportunities were in our assignments for research and development. Week 3. You were asked to identify and mark up 10 safety trades. Identify the same setup on a corresponding 4-hour chart. So you can do it on the hourly or the 4-hour. Learn to identify it on both time frames so that you can develop a sense for when it's going to go off. You were asked to do 5 longs and 5 shorts. And then again, a continuation would be to finish your flashcards and go ahead and build a trade book, some examples of this so that you can refer to them. Well, originally for this presentation I had something else in mind, and then the last minute I felt that this might be better material, so I don't have these copies for you. But what I did do when I was learning the safety trade is I drew it out. So I had an idea of what I was looking for. So here's an example. You just need to go find it in the charts. This is an example of a long. And here would be our example of a short. Now again, these legs here, one can be a little bit higher than the other. They could be even. This is just happens to be how I drew it out that day. But either way. And you know, one other thing that's important to keep in mind, when Steve was first teaching me, when he said an M and a W, I was thinking of, you know, from a computer, a perfect M and a perfect W. And what we're really talking about is a 4 or 5-year-old drawing an M or a W. It's going to be a real sloppy M, real wide, real ugly M or W. Think if you had maybe a child, a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, maybe a grandchild, you know, writing mom or wow. That's what you're looking for, those types of letters. They're not going to be, or very seldom will they be picture perfect like they come out, you know, on a typewriter. Okay, so then we went into week 4, research and development. Identify the trade signals on TDI, any pair in any date range. And what you were asked to do was to black out your charts so that you cannot see the price action. Execute 5 live demo trades solely based on TDI as a signal generator. Now, you know what? I wanted to back up. That just reminded me of something. Let me back up a couple spots here. Okay, in this particular section, just got the question that says, can I trade the false move at the week beginning? So what they're asking is, hey, can they trade from here back down to here? You probably could do that, but I certainly would not recommend that because you never know what they're really going to do. And plus, we want them, what does Steve teach? We want them to show us their hand first, right? They got to show us their hand. They got to give us that first leg first and then start developing that second leg, and that's our key to get in. So could somebody trade this? Yeah, but you know what? It's like being in Las Vegas because you really don't know what they're doing until they play out a little bit more of the pattern. Very good question. Okay, so we're going to talk about TDI. I know Steve has spent a bunch of time teaching it, how it works, how we can take advantage of it, and now we're asking you to identify trade signals on TDI, any pair, any date range. So I wanted to give you an example of one of the trades that I did. This was a fun exercise, very fun exercise. You can see the entry here. It was a big-time shark fin. I rode this out. And just by looking at what I did was I just pulled my TDI from the bottom all the way up to the top of my chart. So it reduced my candles down to nothing. And then I just watched the TDI. I took a trade here. I think I made 38 pips or something like that on it. It was pretty fun. But Steve's recommending that we do it over and over so that we can really become fluent with TDI. I would encourage you to do the same. Okay, so then we jumped into week 5, which was last Sunday. Steve would like you to execute 5 to 10 more TDI trades just using TDI. And then Steve introduced us all to the big board, and he gave us some exercises on the big board. Execute 5 to 10 trades off the big board. Now, for those of us that trade just the U.S. session, that's going to be a little bit harder because the high and the low is set during the Asian session. So Steve gave us some parameters, and we need to work on that. What Steve wants us to do, those that trade the London, is execute 5 to 10 trades off the big board, exactly as he described it in the session. And do it in demo. Please don't try to do this with live cash. Do it in demo so you can understand price better. Okay, so that's a recap of the research and development in the first 5 weeks of Steve's Market Maker Bootcamp. The next thing, guys, I wanted to share with you, I get a lot of emails from people, a lot of phone calls from people that are really close, but they're just not 100% hitting it every single day, every single week. And so I wanted to share with you some techniques that both Diane and I did in order to learn Steve's method from him. And I hope that this will help you. So here's what we did. The first thing that I want you to do, and this goes for any session that Steve is teaching you, any session. The first thing that I would recommend that you do is watch the recording and take notes on Steve's slides verbatim. Don't listen to a word Steve says. Just copy down his slides verbatim. The next thing I want you to do is watch that same recording, but this time don't look at the slides. Listen to what Steve says, because Steve adds a lot of content and a lot of knowledge supporting those slides. So you're going to get handwritten or typed material on the slides, then you're going to get all the rest of the thought that comes with it as Steve explains the slide. So take those notes. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take those and merge them together. You're going to take the content that Steve teaches that pops out of his mouth, and you're going to combine that with the stuff that he's typed out in his slides. And you're going to find an enormous amount of information that will really, really help you. Now, most of you guys know that Steve, he's a pretty excited guy. He's a fantastic teacher. For me, what I had to do next was I took all these notes. In fact, most recently this is the 5th time that I've gone through this. I've had 5 different notebooks that I've used because I've been around Steve for about 3 years now, and every now and then he'll say something maybe a little bit different way that helps me see something a little clearer. We were laughing about it the other day. I was saying, hey, I finally get what you're saying. And it was on my side. Steve said to me, he goes, Zen, I've been telling you the same thing for 3 years. And I was like, you know what, I finally just heard it. It was amazing. But anyway, so what we want you to do is we want you to combine all these notes together, and then you yourself need to actually take the notes and put them in an order that you can learn them, that they make sense, that they're organized for you so that you can get it. Now, I want to share with you here in just a couple minutes. I'm going to show you some examples. I've combined all of my notebooks, and I went through one. Then I added a bunch of stuff, threw it away, I brought it all to my new notebook, and so on and so forth. I'm at my 5th time. And this is what Diane and I did. We wrote all this stuff, and then what we actually did was we started quizzing each other, because I thought I had it pretty good. And then we started, most of you know that we go back and forth between Nevada and Florida. A lot of times we'll drive. And so as we would drive on some of the trips, driving back and forth, we would have our notebooks, and we would quiz each other, just ask questions over and over, over and over, back and forth, hour after hour after hour. And I was talking to one of the students the other day, and I said, I bet that I've probably got 70 to 80 hours worth of my time and energy, maybe even more than that, put into all my note-taking. Because you know what? You're not going to learn a foreign language unless you study it. And it's the same with this method that Steve teaches us. If you don't go and you don't take the notes over and over and over and juggle them and organize them and make them sense in your own mind, you're not going to win. You're not going to beat this thing. We're dealing with some very sharp financial people. If you're not totally on your game, you are not going to win. So you have to. It's a must. You have to organize this information in your own mind and make it make sense to you and study it over and over. So what I wanted to do is just show you here. We'll take a minute. I'm not going to, I'm going to go through it pretty quickly, but I wanted to show you some of the notes that I had taken. So I'm going to bring this page in here like that. Okay. So here's what I had. So here's some information I had, like on high of the day, low of the day. And then there's stuff on peak formations, everything that I need to learn about peak formations. Using TDI, scaling with it, what the volatility bands were. Here's a section that, when I was learning fractional disparity and currency correlation, here's all my notes on that. What a high test, what a low test is, candles. Here, when I was learning, how to use the pivots. Here's my notes on pivots. Here's components. Here's the EMAs, market maker level counts. There's some more stuff on pivot points, RSI, divergence. I want to take a second here. I want you to look down in this corner. I have 20 pages of notes, and I've condensed this down. It's actually in my, because I printed this out, it's 41 pages of material that I have, that I've studied. Diane has probably just as many as I do, of notes so that I can learn this thing. Let's look a little bit more here. There's some of the TDI signals, ADR, previous day high-low marker, shadow boxes. Just over and over, there's all kinds of stuff here. And I had one of the students the other day say, hey, Zen, can I look at it? And I let them look at my notes for a few minutes. They asked me if they can have copies of it. Guess what I told them? I said, no way. If you want this information, then you've got to go get it. It's not going to do you any good if you take a copy of my notes. They're not for sale. Got to do it yourself, guys. Asian session, just everything. All kinds of stuff. Entries. You know what else I did is I had a bunch of charts that I drew out too. Some drawings. Just as the setup so that I could learn them. So I knew them. So I didn't have any misunderstanding. And then, guys, what you need to do is you just need to study it over and over and over until you know it inside, outside, upside down. Guess what? You're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. Steve has given every one of us the keys. We just have to go and use them. All right, guys. Hope you had a great time tonight. It was a lot of fun being with you guys, and we'll see you next Sunday. Everybody have a great night.